Hi everybody, welcome back to another MyTutor online school tutorial. Today GCSE Maths, and we're looking at forming and solving equations. So particularly in geometry, but some other ones thrown in there too. So this session is 1 hour long, so we'll finish at 3 p.m. And this is me, Molly. Hi, I'm taking the lesson today. I just finished my second year studying computer science and maths at Bath, and I've done tons and tons of lessons with MyTutor, including a lot of these now, almost at 50. How exciting. The first thing that we're going to do today is start off with a Kahoot. So we're going to do a Kahoot to test understanding, see where we're at, go through the lesson, do a different Kahoot at the end with some similar style of questions, and see if we can do even better in that final Kahoot. So let's start off with that, which I've got open here. Cool. So just whack this game pin into either, you can go to kahoot.it, or there's a Kahoot app as well. They both work fine. So whilst you're joining, please do make good use of the chat and Q&A functions as per in Zoom. It helps me to know that you're all following and that, you know, I'm going at the right pace. Also, it's really great if you guys pop your answers to stuff in there. I'll be asking throughout, like, who can tell me this, whatever. No one else can see your things, so don't worry about being wrong or anything, but it helps me to know where people are at and stuff like that. So today's topic, forming and solving equations, it's a lot of stuff of kind of seeing some diagrams or something like that. So especially with geometry, something like, let's say this. We'll go over this question actually in the lesson, where you've got some x's and you're given some information. You've got to work out what equation to form and then solve that equation to find something. So I think some of these are actually quite interesting. I'm hoping that today will be quite a good lesson because it will be a lot of you guys working out, so make sure you have some pen and paper. Don't think you'll need a calculator for any of the stuff today. But today will pretty much just be question after question after question, because there's not too much facts or content to learn. It's just practice and getting used to the stuff that we're doing. So I'll just give it 30 more seconds or so to let some more people join. There are 25 of you at the moment, so 8 people still to join if you want to. Obviously not everybody has to, you can work on it yourself, but everyone's almost in, I think. Okay, what I'll do is I'll pop this game pin into the chat so that I'll keep the room unlocked and you can join once we've started. Okay, only 5 questions, but they might take a bit longer, so I'm going to leave the time to go on all of them. So here we're going to have a triangle, and the perimeter is 34 centimeters, so we want to find the value of x. So form an equation and then solve for what you think x is using this one. If you're not sure how to do these, don't worry at all. We'll be learning how to do questions exactly like this and some harder ones and some different styles throughout the lesson today. Let's see. Okay, cool. Looks like the majority of people were comfortable with that, which is really, really good. We'll be going over questions exactly like this. So if you did get it wrong, don't worry. You'll learn how to do it by the end of the lesson. Okay, so this question, we've got a triangle and some angles are shown. So think about what equation we could make here and how we can find x then from that equation. Okay, cool. Lots of people really good at that one as well. Well done, guys. Okay, in this one, we've got a rectangle. So what's the value of x here? So again, what equation can we form from this? What can we set equal to what? Let's see, lots of people sending in answers already. Again, if you have no clue what to do with this, that's totally fine. We'll be doing questions just like this today. Let's see. Okay, cool. Well done. Some people going for the 6.5. I think that could be a rearranging error. I can see totally where that came from, but well done, guys. Crushing these so far. Going to be hard to improve on this in the final Kahoot. So fingers crossed. Okay, penultimate question. Okay, so this one isn't geometry. Hopping away from that for a little bit, but see what equation you can find here. Obviously, with this one, you can work backwards from the answers if you need to, but try not to get practice on that. Awesome, really good on that one as well. My gosh, I do not know if we can go up from this percentage at the end, but we will be looking at some harder questions than these, ones that take slightly longer, which is why I didn't want to include them in the Kahoot. But okay, so here the perimeter of this triangle is equal to the perimeter of this square. So what can we say one side length of the square is? Slightly trickier on this one, but give it a go. I think most people have answered, but I'll let the time go down. Okay, fab. Loads of people getting that one as well. Wow, you guys really crushed that, Kahoot. Well done. I'll definitely have to choose some harder questions to cover in the lesson today. Okay, so IDK in third. Clearly you do. Smart dude in second. Top two got 5 out of 5 as well. That's fantastic. And square root -1 equals I. Nice. Well done, guys. Really crushed that one. So let's have a look. Here, what percentage did we get? 53%. Awesome. So let's see if we can beat that by the end. Hopefully we can. That'd be cool. So we'll give that one a go. Give the next Kahoot a go at the end. So as I said, today is going to be a lot of just looking at a question. I'll walk you through how to answer it, or let you guys have a go first, then walk you through it. And it will be lots of that. So we'll start off. This is quite a hard one, so we'll come back to this one. But I just need to check. I've written down which ones I've included in the final Kahoot, so I need to make sure that I don't include those again. Okay, cool. I can go through this one here. So the point of these questions, the reason that it's called forming and solving equations is because you've got to take the information that you have and translate that into an algebraic equation that you can then solve. So for example, here we've got a square and we want to find, excuse me, what x is. So does anybody have any ideas? Just whack it in the chat or the Q&A. How do you think, or like what equation do you think we can solve here? So don't put the answer yet, and I mean unless you want to, but what do you think equation we can set up? Cool. A couple of people got it already. Nice. A couple of people getting it. So the thing to spot here, and this was similar to one of the questions in the Kahoot, is the fact that in a square, all side lengths are the same. So what that means is that this side length is the same as this side length. So what we can say is that 4x plus 5 is equal to 6x minus 2. And then we can go ahead and solve this equation. So to solve equations like this, we want all the x's on one side and all of the numbers on the other. So let's move that 6x over to the left. So we're going to subtract 6x from both sides. So we get minus 2x plus 5 equals minus 2. Do let me know if you want me to go slower on this rearranging as well. And then we're going to move the 5 to the other side. So subtract 5 from both sides. So minus 2x equals minus 7. And then to get x by itself, we just divide both sides by minus 2. So x is 3.5. So I think people want that okay. Okay, I think, cool. I'll go a little bit slower on the rearranging of the equation on the next one. Someone said, what does 4x or 6x mean? That's a good question. It's basically just x is some value, and just 4 lots of whatever this value is plus 5 is this side length, and 6 lots of that value minus 2 is this length. So it's just like a placeholder for some lots of a number, basically. Hopefully that makes sense. We'll see this kind of thing a lot throughout today's session. Cool. So let's have a look at another. Let's have a look at, well, why don't we have a go actually at just doing a rearrangement to get us used to it, to tackle some of these questions. So who knows how we can solve this equation to find x? Cool, some people already getting it, which is really good. Okay, cool. Yeah, people are getting this really quickly, which is fantastic. So I'll go through this nice and slowly because it covers quite a lot of the rearranging that we'll be doing today. So the first thing that we're going to do is whenever you see any brackets like this, it's a really good idea to expand them so that we can just work with something nice and linear, just term, term. So what we're going to do is expand this right-hand side. So the left-hand side stays exactly the same. Now, when we expand this on the right-hand side, we take whatever's outside the brackets, and all this means is we multiply each thing inside. So 7 times x, 7 times plus 2. So that's all I've done there. 7 times x is 7x, 7 times 2 is 14. So this is the same thing as this. I've just expanded these brackets. Now we want all of the x's on the left-hand side and everything without x in on the right-hand side. So we can see that the first thing we can do is, well, we want just x's on this left-hand side. So let's get rid of this minus 4. We don't want that there. That doesn't belong on that side. So the way that I always think of it is what's currently happening, and then we do the opposite. So what's currently happening is that this 4 is being subtracted. So let's add it. If we add 4 to both sides, it cancels this out and it becomes 0. So adding 4 to both sides gets us to this stage. We've added 4 here to make this 0, and we've added 4 here to make this 18. Next thing that we can do, well, we've just got x's on this side, fantastic. This side, we just want non-x's. which is fine here, but we've got an x here that we want to get rid of. So what's currently happening? 7x is being added to this side. So let's subtract it from both sides. So what we've done here is we've subtracted 7x here. So 9x minus 7x, 2x. That's just 9 minus 7, whacking the x on. And then subtracting 7x here kind of cancels that from that side, makes it be 0. So it doesn't go there anymore. Then finally, we want this side to just be x, because now we've got all the x's here and all the non-x's here. So we want this side to just be x. Well, what's currently happening, it's being multiplied by 2. So let's do the opposite and divide by 2. So dividing by 2 on this side just gets us our x, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. So then you get the answer that loads of people said, x equals 9. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Loads of people got that, which is really, really good. So hopefully, yeah, that makes sense. I'll do them a little bit quicker from now on, unless people want me to do them at that pace again. Do just shout, let me know what you want. So let's have a go at another one here. Right, I'm going to go over one more linear one before I do that, actually. Let's do this one to start with. I'll try to kind of increase them in difficulty as we go. So here's one, not a geometry one, but still a forming and solving equations question. I just got 2 messages at once, someone saying to go quicker, someone saying to go slower. I'll do the first ones a little bit slower and then try to go a bit quicker. Okay, so here we've got, so Kieran, Jermaine and Chris play football. Kieran scored 8 more goals than Chris, Jermaine scored 5 more goals than Kieran, and the total is 72 goals. So we want to know how many goals they each scored. Gosh, the sun decides to be really bright today, doesn't it? I hope you can still see me okay. It doesn't matter too much, but okay. So the first thing that we want to do here is we want to form an equation. So let's call one of their scores x, and then we can work off that. So let's, for example, call Kieran's goals x, because Kieran is involved in each of these. So let's say Kieran, his number of goals is x. So Kieran scored 8 more goals than Chris, which means, well, actually, let's just give them each their own letters for now. Then we can put them all in terms of Kieran's goals. So Kieran is K, Chris is C, Jermaine is J. And now let's write these all in terms of those letters. So Kieran scored 8 more goals than Chris. So you take Chris's goals, you add 8, you have Kieran's goals. Jermaine scored 5 more goals than Kieran. So J equals K plus 5. So again, you take Kieran's goals, add 5, and that's how many Jermaine scored. And altogether, they scored 72 goals. So K plus C plus J equals 72. So now we can write all of these. Oh, a couple of people have this already, which is awesome. Now, if we write all of these in terms of K, we can make this equation here just in terms of K, because obviously we can't, there are loads of possibilities for this. You know, it could be 1, 1, and 70, and so on. So we can replace, for example, C is K minus 8, and J is K plus 5. So then we replace these here, and this becomes K plus K minus 8 plus K plus 5 equals 72. Do you see that? So instead of C, I've written K minus 8 because it's the same thing. And instead of J, I've written K plus 5 because it's the same thing. So let's then simplify this equation. So we're going to combine all of the K's, 3K, combine the 5 and the minus 8, minus 3. So to get from here to here, I've combined the like terms. There are 3 K's and there's a minus 8 and a 5, which gives us minus 3. Then we're going to move the minus 3 to the right-hand side. So 3K equals 75. And then we're going to divide by 3. So K equals 25. So then we can fill in everything here. If we know that K is 25, we know that Kieran scored 25. Kieran scored 8 more goals than Chris, so Chris must have been 17. And Jermaine scored 5 more goals than Kieran, so he must have scored 30. And there's the answer to the question. And lots of people were getting that throughout, which is really, really good. So well done. Just checking up on the chat and the Q&A. Someone's asked for harder questions. Yeah, they'll be coming. Stick around. There's going to be some really hard ones coming up. Okay. Let's hop over to one that's slightly harder then, shall we? Give you guys a challenge. Oh, not this one, because this one is in the final one. Let's have a look at the first one. Now look here, this is a 7-mark question, but it's not as bad as it seems at first. You just lay everything out nice and kind of neatly. So, okay, what we've got in the question is a shape formed by 2 rectangles. And the area of the larger rectangle is 4 times the area of the smaller rectangle. So we want to calculate the dimensions here. So to do that, we've got to find x. It's a classic find x kind of question. So does anybody have any ideas either about how we can start this, what equation we can form, and so on? Someone's asked if this is higher. Yeah, I think some of the early ones could have also been foundation. A question like this would definitely be higher, I think. Okay, so no one's popped anything yet. So we're just going to think about this kind of nice and slowly and lay everything out clearly. So the area of the larger rectangle is 4 times the area of the smaller. So let's calculate or write an equation for the area of each of the rectangles. So the area of, let's say, the smaller rectangle first. Well, remember, so smaller. Remember, to find the area of a rectangle, you do length times width. So here we can see that it's x plus 2 times x. So the area of the smaller rectangle is x plus 2. Nice and simple there. We can rewrite this if we want. Maybe expand it out, x squared plus 2x. All I've done there is I've just multiplied the x by the things in the brackets here. Okay, and then the area of the larger rectangle, well, we see that it's 12. And then what's this length? Who knows what this length of the rectangle is? Cool. A couple of people getting there. So it's 4 plus x, because this side here is going to be equal to this here. Because this is a rectangle, this length down here is x. So this side of the rectangle is 4 plus x. So the area of the larger rectangle is 12 times 4 plus x. And that is 48 plus 12x, if we expand that out. And now we can form our equation. Now, the area of the larger rectangle is 4 times the area of the smaller rectangle. That sentence tells us the equation to write. So the area of the larger rectangle is 4 times the area of the smaller rectangle. Do you see how I've done that there? This is literally what this says. The area of the larger rectangle is 4 times the area of the smaller rectangle. It's kind of handed us the equation to write. You just translate the words into maths, and that's what it becomes. Hopefully that makes sense. And now we've been given, now we've kind of written ourselves an equation to solve. So we can almost ignore the diagram for now until the end and just solve this. Now, the reason that this is a hard question is not only because that equation was quite hard to form, but also, look at this, we've got an x squared. It's a quadratic that we've got to solve, which isn't as scary as it sounds, and we have actually done it before in a few lessons. So let's give it a go. So the key thing with quadratics is that what we want to get is everything on the left-hand side equals 0, and we'll see why in a bit. So let's start by expanding out the brackets on the right. Remember I said that when you see brackets, great idea to expand. So 48 plus 12x equals 4x squared plus 8x. Now what I'm going to do is a trick that I always call like a non-step. All I'm going to do is switch around which side of the equals I write them on. And that's just because we're creatures of habit. We like to have our x's on the left-hand side, starting with x squared and so on. This just means that we have a positive x squared on the left-hand side. So I'm going to write this one in grey because it's really nothing special that I'm doing here. All I'm doing is rewriting what side of the equals sign they go on. Then we move everything to the left. Remember, we want 0 on this side. So let's start off by subtracting the 12x. So this becomes 4x squared. Then we have 8x minus 12x. So that becomes a minus 4x equals 48. Now let's subtract the 48. 4x squared minus 4x minus 48 equals 0. And now we can simplify this for ourselves. Because we have 0 on this side, we can divide everything by 4. Because 0 is a multiple of 4 as well. So if we divide each element by 4, we get x squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. And now here is an equation to solve. Hopefully that makes sense, how I got to that step there. Oh, okay. So a couple of people have asked, can you explain how to rearrange equations? And then they've given an example, so I'll go through that. And can you please explain expanding brackets? Of course I can. I'll do that after this question. I'll go through a couple of things like that. So does anybody know how we solve a quadratic equation like this? How do we solve this for x? Cool. A couple of people have some ideas. Someone suggested add 12 to the other side. Good instinct, but that's not quite going to work for this thing, and you can work that through and see why that won't work. Someone suggested quadratic formula. Yeah, that would work. We can do it in a slightly easier way, but quadratic formula will work if you pop this in. And then a couple of people have said that we factorize or form two brackets, which is exactly right. If you can factorize it, that's definitely the best way to do it. And we'll see why in a moment. So we want to factorize x squared minus x minus 12. So what do you think you get when you factorize this? Cool. A few people have got that. I'll go through it now. So I have done 3 or 4 sessions actually that involve factorizing. So I'm not going to spend too long going over this because I don't want it to take up too much of the lesson. So if you're not sure how I factorize this, check out those other videos. Yeah. So the way that we do this is we're going to set up our 2 brackets. And we know that there has to be an x at the beginning of each. Now, because this is negative, that must be formed from a positive and a negative. And then we want to add something and subtract something so that we get minus x. So what we're going to do is see that we want to add 3 and subtract 4. And you can test this out. You can expand this, see that we get x squared plus 3x minus 4x. That's minus x and a minus 12. Again, I did that super quickly, so don't worry at all if you didn't follow. I'm just going to go over it quickly now rather than spending too long explaining it, because I have already explained it. And you can check out the MyTutor YouTube channel to review those videos if you'd like some extra help with factorization. So if you don't understand how I factorize that, don't worry, just believe me, just accept it for now and follow through the rest. So the reason that we've done this and that we want it equaling 0 is because when two things multiply to equal 0, one of them has to be 0. Can you think of any two numbers that multiply together to be 0? Well, in every single example that you can think of, one of those things has to be 0. There's absolutely nothing that we can multiply together to make it be 0 unless one of them itself is 0. And that is why we've made it equal 0, because now we know that one of these brackets has to be 0. Now we know with the quadratic, because of the shape of the graph, there's going to be two solutions. For example, with x squared equals 4, the solutions are plus or minus 2. There's always two solutions, well, up to two solutions. So the way that we get our two solutions from this is that we first of all think, well, what would the solution be if this bracket was 0? It would be x is minus 3. What would it be if this bracket was 0? It would be x is 4. So there are our two solutions for x. X is minus 3 or x is 4. Either of these will completely satisfy this equation, and you can check that by putting them back into here. For example, doing 4 squared minus 4 minus 12. You'll see that that does in fact equal 0, and same with minus 3. So let's look back at what the original question was, and we've found that x is either 4 or minus 3. Now, this is really important with geometry questions. Always check back and see if your answers fit. Who can think of a reason that one of these won't work? Yeah, quite a few people have got it, which is fantastic. So if this side length here was minus 3, because x is minus 3, how on earth does that work? We can't have a negative side length. Side lengths have to be positive. Therefore, x equals minus 3, even though it can fit the equation, it can't work. We can't have a negative side length. Therefore, x has to be equal to 4. So the dimensions of the smaller rectangle are x and x plus 2. So it's 4 centimeters by 6 centimeters. That's our solution. Yeah, and lots of people got that. So that's fantastic. So always, and it happens with geometry questions, sometimes others. If you have to solve a quadratic, the question will probably be about side lengths or maybe a time or a distance, anything where it can't be negative. So do check them back, because you probably will be able to discount one of the solutions. And that's something that people forget quite a lot, but it's super important. So do keep that in mind. So well done, because loads of people got that. So because someone's asked a couple of questions, I'm just going to go through those now, and then we'll go over another question like this one. So someone said, can you please explain how to rearrange equations like 6x minus 2 equals 12? 6x minus 2 equals 12. Of course I can. So it's really important, and do keep asking if you don't understand this side of things, because I often go over it quickly, I think, because once you're used to solving algebraic equations, you end up doing it quite quickly. So I often forget that you guys might only just be learning this and stuff. So do slow me down if I am tackling something too quickly. I try my best, but do let me know. Okay. Okay, some people are saying that I'm actually going too slow. Okay, cool. I guess that's a good thing because it means that you guys are following. I do try to vary my pace. We'll go through these and then tackle another hard question. So hopefully there's something for everybody. So with this one, all you've got to remember is that x is on one side, non-x is on the other. So this side is looking fine, but this side we just want x's. So let's get rid of this minus 2. What's currently happening? 2 is being subtracted. So let's add 2. And you've got to do that to both sides. So we want to add 2 to this side and add 2 to this side. So on this side, that just gives us 6x, because the minus 2 add the 2 cancels that out. And on this side, it gives us 40. And then we've got all of the x's on this side and all of the non-x's here. So we just want to isolate x. What's currently happening? It's being multiplied by 6. So what are we going to do? We're going to divide by the 6. So we divide by 6 on both sides. So that gives us x on this side and 14 divided by 6 on this side. Now we can just simplify. So 14 over 6, we can divide the top and the bottom by 2 and see that this gives us 7 over 3. So the answer here is x is 7 over 3. Okay, now I'll go over some expanding brackets things. Sorry, just replying to some messages on the chat and stuff. Okay, so I'll go over a quick bit of expanding brackets. So, thing with expanding brackets is whatever is outside of them, you multiply everything in them by. So, if we have 4 lots of x squared plus 2x minus 3, all we have to do is take this 4 and multiply it by everything inside here. So we get 4 times x squared, 4 times plus 2x, and 4 times minus 3. That's all I've done. 4 times x squared, 4 times 2x, 4 times minus 3. And if it comes to it in a question that we have to expand double brackets, I'll do that, but I have done it in previous videos, so I don't want to take up too much time today covering that. Okay, let me just quickly check the Q&A. So I've explained that. Expanding brackets. Someone's asked if my MyTutor page is available. Yeah, it is at the moment. I am open at the moment. Okay. Let's do another question. Let's have a look at another sheet. So this is maths, so I can't do. Let's have a look at number 3. Let's have a go at this one. So in this question, we've got a quadrilateral and the perimeter we're given is 65 centimeters. So the perimeter is 65 centimeters. What is x? So there are a couple of questions like this in the beginning Kahoot. So all you've got to do is find an equation for the perimeter and then we can solve it. So the perimeter here is just every single side length added. So let's go round one by one. We'll start here and go round clockwise. So 2r plus 5 plus r plus 4r minus 3. That's the perimeter. You see how we've taken each side length and added them together. And then because the perimeter is 65, we say that that is equal to 65. Yeah, sometimes they like to throw in letters that aren't R. So have a go. How do you think you can simplify that? Whilst you're doing that, on the Q&A, someone said, do we have another math lesson tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow, nice and early at 9:45. I know it's not that early, but it feels early for quarantine, doesn't it? What's happening next week? Are all the lessons now after school, or is it like this all week? So next week, there's going to be just one lesson a day, I think, so math, English, biology, chemistry, physics. I'm not sure if they'll be after school or like whatever the most popular time was. I won't say anything yet, just in case it's not. But you will be finding out really, really soon the schedule for next week. But I will just have one lesson next week. Cool, so let's go through and have a look at this. So what we're going to do is combine all of the like terms on the left-hand side. So that means everything that's R and then everything that's not R. So let's start off, everything that's R, we've got a 2R, a 2R, an R, and a 4R. So 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 4 gives us 9R. And then everything that's not R, 5 and a minus 3. That gives us plus 2. So 9R plus 2 is 65. Now this is just like this that we had a go at solving. So the first thing that you're going to do is we want to get rid of the plus 2 from this side. It's currently being added, so we're going to subtract 2 from each side. So then we get 9R equals 63. I've just subtracted 2 from each side. Now we want R by itself, so we're going to get rid of this 9. Well, it's currently being multiplied by 9. So let's divide by 9. So divide by 9 on each side. So we get R equals 7. And there you go, we've solved for R. R is 7 centimeters. So hopefully that one there makes sense. Cool. People are getting that okay? Okay. Cool. Let's go over another question. What time is it? Make sure that I have time for the Kahoot. Okay. We'll go over, I'll tell you what I'll do actually. We'll do the Kahoot now, and I'll explain each of the questions after we've done them in the Kahoot. Let's do that. I think that's a good plan. Okay, I'm just going to pop this in the chat. So get joining this. I've just popped the code in the chat just because somebody's asked me to check if MyTutor page is mine. Because although I only have one session next week, I do still have some one-on-one slots available for a little bit. So you can check that out if you want to. So let me just check that quickly. Cool. Okay. I've checked that. Oh gosh, I'll go back onto here and share my screen. Me trying to use technology. Yeah, someone was asking if this is my my tutor page. Yes, it is. Cool, we've got 14 people in. Yeah, so this one, there are only 5 questions again, but I've got time now because we've still got 15 minutes to actually go over each of them, explain each of the questions and how you reach the answer that you have. Someone said, I was wondering how you'd factorize something that has a number before the x squared. So like 4x squared plus 4. Okay. So someone said, let me pop this question on actually, whilst you're still joining the Kahoot, because it's a good question. So factorize something that has a number before the x squared. So 4x squared plus 4x plus 12. Would you see if the 4 before the x squared fits in the equation? So would it be 4x plus x minus 3? Yeah, exactly right. So if you want to factorize 4x squared plus 4x minus 12, you would rewrite this as 4 lots of x squared plus x minus 3, exactly like you said. And then we can factorize this bit. So we can see, actually this bit here doesn't factorize, but you could then factorize this bit and pop the 4 outside. Yeah. If it doesn't factorize out like this, I did do a lesson, I think last week or maybe the week before, on some really hard factorization questions. So that is on YouTube, so do check that out if you'd like some more help with factorizing. So I'll get going on the Kahoot now. You can still join. You can still join whilst we get going, so don't worry about that. Okay, here we go. 5 questions again. Question number 1. Okay, so we've been given a triangle, we're told the perimeter, and we want to solve for x. So give this one a go and see what you get. Okay, most people answered. I'll let the timers go down on all of these. I won't skip because I think I've actually started the Kahoot early enough this time. It's only taken me 40-something lessons to learn how to do that. Okay. Okay, cool. So most people got it. Some people a bit confused by it. So let's have a look, shall we? So let's copy and paste this. So we know that the perimeter is 49. I will be explaining these fairly quickly to make sure that we get through them all, but I'll try to make it as clear as I possibly can. So we're going to form an equation. So remember, the perimeter is the way all around the edge of the triangle. So if we add up all of the things around the edge, so we'll start here. So 3x minus 3 plus 2x plus 5 plus 4x minus 1, that's equal to that 49, that perimeter of the triangle. Now all that remains is to simplify this left-hand side. So we'll expand out these brackets. So remember, I've just multiplied everything in the brackets by 3. Minus 1 equals 49. Then we'll collect like terms. So you can see that there is a 3x, a 2x, and a 4x. So that becomes 9x. And then there is a minus 9, a plus 5, and a minus 1. So that gives us minus 5. And that equals 49. And then we add 5 to both sides. 9x equals 54. And then divide each side by 9. So x equals 6. And that's how we got the x equals 6 in that one there. So well done to those of you who got that. Let's have a go at the next question. What is x? So I guess we'll see what the diagram shows us here. Okay, we've got a quadrilateral, so a 4-sided shape. So think about what you know about the angles in a quadrilateral and see what equation you think you can form here. Okay, some people Don't worry if you're not sure, I will explain this one after we do it here. Okay, let's see what people got here. Cool. Again, majority got it right. Well done. Let's go through this one. I think I just captured part of my face in the screenshot there. Yeah. Okay. So we've got this quadrilateral here. And what we need to know here is that all of the angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360. So for example, in a square, they're all 90, and in a rectangle, and so on. So we add them all up. We'll start here and go around clockwise. X plus 10 plus the 50 plus the 2x plus the 2x is equal to 360. And then we just collect like terms like we did before. So we see an x, a 2x, and a 2x. That's 5x. Then we see a 10, a 50. That's 60. And that equals 360. Subtract 60 from both sides. 5x equals 300. And divide each side by 5. X equals 60. So that's how we get 60 on this one. So well done to those of you who did. Okay, let's have a look at this question then. Okay, and another one that's not geometry. So we've called something x here. See what equation you can form that will tell us. Okay, almost there. So hopefully, even if you're not sure how to solve it, hopefully you can give a go at least forming the algebraic equation, seeing what you can make out of this one. Yeah, well done. Lots of people getting that one. Fantastic. So let's see what we can do here. Well, we're already told that James has x pence. And we know that all of these totals add up to 75. So x and Hannah's amount, which is 5 pence more, and Liam's amount, which is 2 pence less, is 75. So hopefully you can see that. We've got, this is James' amount, this is Hannah, this is Liam. And I don't know why I wrote 5 instead of 75. And then we'll do exactly what we've been doing. Let's collect some like terms. So x, x, and x. That's 3 x's there. And then we've got a 5 and a minus 2. That gives us 3. And that's equal to 75. So then let's subtract 3 from both sides. 3x equals 72. And then divide both sides by 3, 24. And that's how we got x equals 24. So well done to those of you who got that. Okay, now we've got one about an area. So the area of this rectangle is 27 centimeters squared. So how can we find out what the value of x is? So give this one a go. Bit trickier because we're going to have a quadratic in here. Again, I'll let the timer go all the way down this time because I'm actually on track to finish on time. Okay. Again, like I said, it's a slightly trickier one, so let's see. Okay, cool. Well done. It was still a majority who got it, so let's give this one a go. So we know that the area is 27 centimeters squared. Ooh, did that even paste? There we go. Oh. So how do we find the area of a rectangle? We do one side length times the other side length, and we know that that results in 27 centimeters squared. So we're going to have a quadratic to solve here. Oh, it did paste down here. Well, we don't want this one anymore. So let's expand out the left-hand side to start with. 2x squared plus 3x equals 27. And then let's make it equal 0, remember. Minus 27 equals 0. Now, this is a difficult one because we've got a 2x squared. As I said last week or maybe the week before, I did do a session on how to factorize things like this when you have a bigger coefficient of x squared than 1. But the answer to this one is going to be 2x. Now, we know it's got to have a 2x and an x. And we know that there's going to be two different signs because this is a negative. We don't know which goes with which. And we know that they have to multiply to be 27. So it's 1 and 27, or it's 3 and 9. I think that's it. So 1 and 27 is going to be too big to make this 3. So it's going to be 3 and 9. And one of them has to be added, and one has to be negative, and one has to be multiplied by 2. So if you watch my other video, you see all the trial and error process that I do. So in this case, it's going to be plus 9 here and minus 3 here, because we have then a plus 9x and a minus 6x. So I just did that with a quick trial and error in my head. And then we get that x is either minus 9 over 2, so minus 4.5, or it's 3. Now remember, a side length cannot be negative. So x is 3 is the one that we go with. Okay, so well done to those who got that. Final question. The area of this whole shape is 79 centimeters squared. What's the value of x? So this one is really tricky. But give it a go. See what you can do with it. See what we get here. I will let the whole time go down because I know this is a difficult one. So just think about, we've been given the area of the whole shape. So how are we going to express the area of the whole shape in terms of x? So give that a go and then see if you can solve it. I should say actually with this one, I've just had a look at it myself. These shapes here are squares. I don't know why it didn't say this in the information, which you probably assumed if you have answered it. But A, B, C, H and C, D, E, F are squares. Someone said, will you still do lessons? I guess you mean after next week. So I'll be doing one lesson a week, I guess, until school's closed. I'm not 100% sure, but I am still on MyTutor as well. Oh, tricky one, that one. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at it on here. It was the last question. Okay, we're just finishing, but I would like to go through this question quickly. So let's do this. Now, this explanation that I do is going to be quick because I don't want to overrun by too much. But hopefully, if you watch it on YouTube, just slow me down, think about it yourself. So what did we say the area was? 79. So let's find it in terms of x. So what I'm going to do is think about this shape first and add it to the area of this smaller square. So this length, because this is a square, is also x plus 3. So we have x plus 3 plus 3. So the area of this bit is x plus 3 times x plus 6, because it's the x plus 3 plus 3. And the area of this little shape here is just 9, because it's 3 by 3. So that plus 9 equals our 79. So let's expand these brackets. X squared plus 9x plus 18 plus 9 equals 79. I got this 9x by doing plus 3x plus 6x. So it's x squared plus 9x, and then let's move everything to the left. So this is plus 18 plus 9 minus 79. Oh my gosh, I do not want to mess this up, so I am going to use a calculator. I definitely should be able to do it in my head, but you know what? I'm not ashamed to say that I am poor at mental maths. Minus 52. Now we want to factorize this in order to solve it. So we have x, oh my gosh, let's work from the answer. It's got to be a minus 4 in there. X plus 13 equals 0. That would have taken me longer to do. So then x is either 4 or minus 13. And remember, the side lengths can't be negative, so x equals 4 is the one that we take. Difficult question, that. Very, very difficult. So either well done to those who guessed or worked this one out. Let's have a quick look at the podium. So in third place, 4 out of 5. Smart dude, well done. Probably that last question that tripped some people up. Square root of minus 1 equals I. Very, very good. And then finally, SS Bobber, I guess is that name. So really well done, guys. Let's see. I don't know if that went up from the beginning. I've got to be honest. But no, it didn't. I did put harder ones in the end, though. I always do this to myself. I always try to see, try to see if you guys can do harder questions, which obviously makes the percentage go down. So I'm just checking the chat. Cool. Okay. Okay. So thank you very much for coming today. I've got I'm going to read out 2 jokes because I've received 2 that I really like. So one relates to geometry. So what's a maths favorite plant? A geometry. It links to what we did today. Fantastic. And then also, why did the student do multiplication problems on the floor? Because the teacher told him not to use tables. Fantastic. I love them. Keep sending them in, genuinely. I am a loser who loves reading maths jokes. So thank you for coming. Sorry I ran over a bit, as per usual, classic me. Yes, well done all for sticking with me. You did fantastically today, so you should be really, really proud of yourselves. I will personally see you all tomorrow. Do check out the MyTutor website. People like me offer loads of one-on-one sessions, so that's a really great thing to check out. And I think that's everything I need to say. Check out the timetable for what else is happening tomorrow. And I will see you all tomorrow, bright and early at 9:45 for another lesson. So thank you. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.